Hey guys, welcome again to my channel and I hope you're doing well. Okay, so in this tutorial we want to talk about how we can consume API using Vue JS. Well, now I have this REST countries API, and this REST countries API helps you to you can get information about countries. So for example, you have all here, you get all the countries country information, and then here you only get the name, the full name I mean, and we have code, the country code, list of codes, currency, language, capital city, and we have the calling code, region, and other information. Okay, so the one that we're going to consume in this tutorial is the all endpoint. So it has many endpoints, but you're going to consume with all endpoints. Now it's easier. Vue.js is one of the easiest frameworks to learn, and even if you are a beginner, you'll just understand it. Okay, but then you need to have understanding of JavaScript, like ES6 concepts like array, methods like filter, map, and etc. And also you need to be familiar with CSS and HTML. Okay, so let's just look at what you are going to build in this tutorial. And you can see here we have this H1 list of countries, and you have all the countries information. I've just taken a few information like the name, and then you have the capital city, and then the region of the continent, and then you have the population of that country. Okay, so this is the list of the countries, and basically we have there are many countries. Okay, so for example, you have Kenya here, and if I click on the view, you'll find that it displays that country information, and this is basically a single page application. It is a single page application, and then when I click on back to countries here, it takes me back to the countries. But you can see now you have the country name, flag, the capital city, the continent, and then you have the population. And then if I click here, it takes me to the list of countries. Okay, so we are going to have a few packages, and basically this is not, I'm not using the Vue CLI, so it is so easier for you to understand. It's basically HTML file, and then we have the CDN link to the Vue. Okay, and then you are also using a library called Axios. So these are what you're going to use. So let's just get started. And what we are going to do is to minimize this project, and then on the desktop I have a folder called projects, and here I have this completed project, and I'm going to create another one, and I can just call it project 1 or anything you want to call it. And then from here I'll open with VS Code. So I'll just right click. I've installed VS Code, and I'm going to open with VS Code. Okay, so after this we have this, and what I want to do, I want the browser to be on this side here and the code to be on the left side. So what I'm going to do is just to move this here, and then I'm just going to drag it down there. Okay, and also this, I'm just going to move it to this point here. Okay, and then I'm going to close this one. Now we have our API here, and we said that we are going to consume the all endpoint. So this is the link. So the first thing you're going to do is to create a file, and you can call it index.html. And that is the file that is going to display our page. So you can just do, I'm just going to do scaffolding of basic HTML structure here, and here we just call it you can give it a title of consuming REST countries API with Vue, right? And then I have a few extensions that I want to let you know, and let me just move this here. And I have the first extension that I have installed is called, if we go to extensions here, is called bracket pair colorizer. And basically this one helps you to colorize a block of code, and you're going to look at that. And then we have, like, if I click here, you can see this line here. So this is the work of that extension. So it actually selects a block of code. And then you have okay, this PHP CS fixer does not apply to this project. It applies to PHP projects, but basically it formats the code. And then you have this live server, and this is the one that you're going to use. So this live server, if it helps us to open a project, to open the project, like we can right click here, and then we can open with live server, right? And it's going to use the default browser. Let me just copy that and go back to Chrome, open another tab and paste there. And this is the project. You can see consuming REST countries API. Right, so after that, here we need a div with an ID of app, or you can call it, you can give it any other ID, but that ID is very important because it is where we are going to mount our app. Okay, we are going to mount our app. Right, so after that, in here we also need Bootstrap. So I'm just going to you can get the Bootstrap CDN if you are using internet, or you can just download a Bootstrap and you put it in this directory, and then you can import it in this file. But I'm just going to use the CDN links. Okay, so I'm just going to get these links. The first one is Bootstrap. Let me copy them and just minimize that project. So I'll paste there. This first link is the Bootstrap CDN. It is Bootstrap 5. It will help us to style the page. And the following is the Axios. Axios is the library that helps us to do HTTP requests. So like we can fetch data using Axios from this. We are going to fetch data using Axios from this API here. And then now you have the Vue CDN. So all this you can just search them and you'll find. So if you just do Bootstrap CDN, and you can use this first link here, and you get Bootstrap CDN here. So you just want to copy the CSS and then the JavaScript, right? JavaScript will place down here, and then the CSS will place inside the head tag. And the same you can do for Axios CDN, and you get the link here for Axios. So just copy one of the link. I like minified version. You just copy it and then you paste here. And then we have Vue CDN. So you can just do Vue CDN. It is Vue CDN, and it's going to take you to the vuejs.org, and from this website you can get Vue CDN here. So this is what you want to copy and you paste here, right? So let's go back to our project. So this app here, I said that this is the div in which we are going to mount our application. And since we have Bootstrap already set up, so we just want to do here, just want to do a Bootstrap container. So this you should be familiar with Bootstrap at least. Then we have a class called raw. But basically these are the divs that you are creating. Okay, so in this container you can have h1, and we'll just do a list of countries, right? And that's it. So if you go here, you can see list of countries. Okay, now since we have this all this inside the app, we can access all all the data that we are going to pass to this div here. All right, that is after Vue has been mounted, that component has been mounted. All right, so what you want to do here is to create a script tag. You can see we are using here Bootstrap, so we need Bootstrap down here, and also we need another separate file that you're going to write the Vue code, right? So let's just do we are going to import from this file. So from the completed project here, you go to index. Down here we are going to import the Bootstrap JavaScript CDN. And that is it. So we are just going back to the project and we paste that. So I think I need to change the font so that let me just change the font to 18 or 20. Yeah, I think that is better. Alright, so you have index.html file with the Bootstrap CDN, and then you have this div here. And now we need the script where we are going to link the Vue JS file to this one here. So just do script, and then source src, and that should be the name of the app, the name of the file that we are going to create. So it is just name it app.js, and we make sure that we've created that file in this directory. So just create a new file and call it app.js, like that. So you have this app.js, and then you have this index.html file. So most of the things that you're going to do, the logic of application is going to be done in this app.js here, right? So first things first, let's just initialize Vue instance by doing new Vue. I'm sorry for that. So it is just new Vue. Then we pass there what we call configuration objects. Yeah, configuration object. And the first thing we define is L. So L is the element in which you are going to mount components. So like we call this element with an ID of app here, and this is where we are going to mount that component. So you're just going to do to mount that view. So you're just going to do here ID app. So this one is going to look for, this should be view. So this is going to look for an element in index.html that has an ID of view, and it is going to work here. Okay, so it is going, the view is going to control this element. Anything that is in this element with an ID of app is going to be controlled by view here, right? And after that we just have to do another we can just do data, right, and then return. So this data is going to carry the data of application, anything to do with the data, all the countries that you're going to fetch, you're going to put them here. So the first thing that you just want to test is we can just do maybe title, and then we'll do list of countries. All right, and then another thing we'll need is a list of countries, and that one will just set it to an empty array. And another thing we need is, you remember when you are displaying country, so you just need one country, and then that's also going to be just an object like that. And we also need a variable that tell what it does, show country, and we'll set it to false, right? So if you remember, we were clicking on countries and we are showing, if we click on view, you are showing that specific country. And then if we click on, let me just show you in the application. So if I open this application here, let me right click and open a live server. So just copy that, and I like using Chrome, so I'll paste there the completed application. Okay, so this is what we are working on, and this is the complete application, the complete project. So what I'm talking about is, let's just go back to the project that we are working on, this one, and you can see here, when I click on view country, it displays that specific country. So basically we're just toggling this variable, show country, to true and to false, right? So in this case, show country is true, but if we click here, show country is now false. So that is the reason you have this. And so if this show country is true, it means that you have populated this country with the specific country's information, and that is the country that the user clicked on, right? So that is it, and I think that this is enough. So if we just save that and go back here, you can see this shows Vue development tools. Vue developer tools tells you that Vue is operating on this file. That is why you can see it is now showing the Vue developer tools icon there, right? So we can try to change this to dynamic value. You can see here we are using just hard-coded data, but we can just change it to title and see, and you can see it still remains there, meaning that it is working. So what do we need to do? So the first things first, we need to fetch, we need to have methods or functions that are going to do specific things. So the first method is going to fetch data. The first one is going to show the country, and then the next one is going to switch off the country and show the countries. So Vue, this is how Vue instance operates. So we can see we are passing inside the Vue instance, we are passing there the element that we need to mount, or we want Vue to control, and then we have the data object here, or the data method. This data method, it handles data, right? And we can also display what we call methods, and basically methods are functions. So methods, okay, and that you can just do an object. So inside this methods object, or this method here, what we are going to do is to display, we are going to write our functions here. So for example, the function that is going to fetch data from this API here, right? So this is what we are going to do. So fetch, okay, you can just have the method called fetch countries. That is a function, all right, and this is going to fetch the countries. Okay, so let's try that method. The first thing is, we need the URL from where we are going to fetch the countries, and that URL, we said that you are going to use this REST API here, and you have this all endpoint. So the first thing I'm going to define here is is the URL. So just let URL is equals to that. And now that you have the URL and you have Axios, you can see I said that we imported Axios CDN here. So you have Axios, you can use it. So you can use Axios to fetch data. Okay, so you can just fetch data by saying Axios.get. And what are we getting? We are getting the URL. So this is going to get this data. This is going to go to this endpoint and get the data. Okay, and this endpoint is going to return all the list of all the countries. So Axios.get, and then we have .then. So you need to be familiar with JavaScript promises. So .then, this is going to return data. So response is going to come with response. And then what you just want to do is to return. We can just do this, and this is arrow function. This is arrow function. So you are just going to console.log response.data. So this is going to return the data that has come through the response. All right. And now let's save and go here and refresh and try to check the developer to the console. So right click here, inspect, and go to the console, and you see there's nothing. We are not getting anything there. And what is the reason? Well, the reason is that we have a cycle, what we call life cycle methods in Vue. We have to use to call this when that component is mounted. So just have here, you can just do mounted, and then when that component has been mounted here inside this app, that is when you want to fetch countries. So that's why we are using here mounted, and we just do this dot fetch countries. So when this component is mounted, what is going to happen is it's going to run this method, and this method basically fetches the countries. And you can see here we have the list of all the countries. Okay, so that's great. Now the list of countries, it has we have many of them, like 249, and each of them, if we look at each country, you can see the properties. You have alpha 2 code, alpha 3 code, alt spellings, alternative spellings, borders, then we have capital, and then we have the flag. So this is the information that we are going to display. Okay, and now that we have the countries, what we want to do is not just to console log the countries. We want to, these countries, we want to populate it with this data that comes from this API. So what we do here is this. So this dot countries is equals to res.data, right? So basically what this is going to do is to take this data that comes from this API and then populate these countries with that. So if we console log countries here, we are going to get this data. So let's just do this, console.log this dot countries, and you can see we still get the countries there, right? And now the good part of it is that these countries, you can access it from this HTML file. We are able to access it, to loop through and display each country. Right, so how do we display the countries? Now I just want us to get bootstrap card, so that we can display you can display there, and then you can just get this code here, and we'll go to HTML here, and you can see inside here we have this row. So inside the row, I just give it a class of call md4 or 3. So basically this is going to display 4 columns, 4 columns or 4 items across the page, and then inside each of these we are going to display that div there, right? we are going to display, to put there the card there, right? So if we go here, back here, you can see we have this card, but the image is not displaying because it is not there, right? But here we don't want to display static data, we want to display dynamic data, and we already have the countries here. So for us to show the countries, this is what you are going to do. So we can access these countries here. These countries you see here, you can access them here from here. So what you are going to do is we can loop through items using v-for, right? But then we have to make sure that we have those items. So we'll do v if and then equals, and then countries dot length is greater than 0. So basically it's just, we are using just a if statement, and this is how we write if statement in Vue. So if countries, we have more than one country, or more than at least one country here, that is when we want to display this div. And now how do we display? We just want to loop through by using v-for, and then these are what we call Vue directives. So like v-for country in countries. Okay, so basically what we are doing, we are looping through these countries, and then looping through these countries, and then for each country we want to display the information of that country here, right? So we start with flag. So the flag here, what you are going to do, we are using vbind. So bind is where now we can fetch this automatic, we can bind this source attribute to the image of that specific country by doing this. You just do that, or you can use vbind. Okay, but I like using this, and then here we're just going to display country flag. So it is going to be country dot flag. Okay, so if I save that, you have an error there, and the error says what? Unexpected token. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Inside the source here, we don't do that. We don't use mustaches or double curly braces. We don't use them. Just do country.flag like that. Okay, and there we go. You can see now we have the countries here. Okay, we have the countries displaying here. So if we close this, or we can just move this here, you can see now the flags of our countries are displaying. And to display the name, here we can display the name of the country. Now we can use mustaches, or we call them curly braces. So here it is going to be country.name. And you can see now you have each country's name displaying there. And then down here we need a population. Yeah, just do country dot population, and you can see now you have each country's population here. Now you may be asking yourself, how do I know this population name? Okay, this is how I know that. So if we go to the data, that is the country's data, this is information about each country's data. So we have alpha code, we have alpha 3 code, and then we have area. So population, this is the capital. Okay, so if I just want to access the capital of this country, I just do country.capital. And then we have languages, we have the flag. So this is where the flag is coming from, the SVG. Okay, and then you have the name. So this is the name of the country. So this is where I'm getting that information. So each country is an object. Okay, And object has various properties. So you have alpha code, you have country name, you have population, you have currencies, and many other items. So that is where I'm getting. So here we can just copy this, paste below, and then we can here we can just say population, and do that. And then here we can do a continent, and now we'll just change this to from population to country dot region. All right, so if you look at this, you can see that we have the first item there, we have region, and say the region is Seychelles. So the region is basically the continent there. Okay, so let's just look at the, here we have region, population. Yeah, that is it. Oh, but we have the capital city. So for us to display the capital city, so let's just copy this and paste below, and we change this from population to capital city, and then this will be country dot capital, just like that. And if we go back here, you can now see we have the capital city there. So for example, if we look for Nairobi, which is the capital city of Kenya. So if we go to Kenya, you should see Nairobi as the capital city. So you can see Kenya is here, and the capital city is Nairobi. This is the population, and the continent is Africa. Okay, so that's great. Okay, now we have finished the first part where we are displaying the country information. The second part is the part where we want to show this, the part where we want to show each country information. And now here we are going just to change that to show, right? Or show country, anything you want to call it. And this show country is a button. So we want it to work in a way that when somebody clicks this button, we want to get that country, and then we want to show the country. But then you have to write that method. When somebody clicks there, we want to use something that is unique per country. So like in this case, we can use alpha2 code. So it is unique per country. We can see this one as a unique AF alpha2 code, or we can use alpha3 code. So what we are going to do is that when somebody clicks on this show country, we want to get the country's alpha2 code, and then we are going to pass to a certain method. That method is going to use that and filter the country and only return the country that has alpha code equals to whatever alpha code you'll have passed there. So this is what I mean. So in this here, we are going to use at click. So in Vue, on click event, you can do at click, and to prevent default, you can do dot prevent, right? So like this one is, you are preventing the default, and then is equals, and then here the method that should be called, and this method should be show country. All right, so show country, you have to pass there the alpha2 code, as we said here, of that country. So it's going to be country dot alpha2 code, and it has to be the same as you see it here, alpha2 code, right? Because if you misspell that, you are not going to see, it is not going to work. So you have to be exact, right? Then you save there, right? So let's just go back and write that method or function. So here what you're going to do, just below this function here, we'll write another method, and we'll call it show country, right? And that's going to be a function. that is going to be a function, and that function we are going to call to pass there. We are passing there. You can see we are passing there a parameter, right? We are passing there an argument, and you have to get it there. So you can see you are passing there here, right? Alpha2 code, and here you can just call it alpha code like that, and then we can just try to console log that code, console.log alpha code. So that is the code that is passed there from this HTML file. So let's just try that and see. If we click here, you can see now we are getting the alpha2 code of that country. You can see there, and you can see there. So you can use this to search for that country from the countries. Right, so we'll go back to the code, and how do we search that? So this is what you do. So we can just define a variable called all countries and set it equals to these dot countries. So all countries, are setting it to all these countries there, and then we will use what we call filter method. So this is how we do it. So we just do const, we can just do selected country. So let a selected country, or we can just call it country. So let country, so that is the country that has been clicked on, is equals to, so we filter all countries. So the all countries dot filter, so use filter method, right, and we pass their country. We are filtering as per country, and then we only want to return a country where the country dot alpha2 code is equals to alpha2 code. Right, so I hope you understand what this is doing. So basically what we are doing here is we are filtering all the countries to get the country that somebody clicked on, and this is, we are using the filter method. So we are just returning the country where alpha2 code is equivalent to the alpha2 code that we passed there, right? Yeah. Alright, so let's go back to the code, and we just want to console log that country. So console.log country. Right, so let's try to click on this, and you can see we are getting that country information, right? You can see we are getting the country is Algeria. You can just go to the name, the flag is there, and then you have the name, and you can see the name is Algeria. So if we click on Albania, we also get that information about that country. So what we want to do is to display that specific country, but then we have to update this country and set it equals to this country that we found. So for us to do that, we are going to just do this dot country is equals to country, right? So this dot country refers to this country here, and we're just changing this value to the country that you just found. All right, and then now we have, how do we now display that? Okay, because initially what is happening, we are displaying all the countries. So how do we get to see the information about that specific country? Now that is the reason why you have this variable called show country. Okay, so when the show country is false, you want to display all the countries, but when show country is true, you want to hide all the countries and display the country that has been selected. So for us to do that, we'll go back to HTML and do some modification, and the first thing you are going to do is to just copy all these. So just cut this, and then you'll add two divs. So the first div is that one. So if if show country is true, so show underscore country. So if show country is true, we are going to show that this is the code where we are going. This is where we are going to write the code that will show that country. And then else, if it is not true, we use what we call v-else, and this is where now we are going to show all the countries. Get it? I'll explain. Now you can see that we are displaying all the countries here. All right. We are displaying all the countries here. Let's look at it. So if show country is true, we are going to show that country. So we are going to show this code. If it is false, we are going to show this code here. All right. So you can see we are showing it because it is show country is false. Okay, so what you want to do is this. So for us to, if show is true, we are going to show this country. So for example, if we go back to the code, here, not to the code, if we just click on this one, you can see we are getting this, but there's something that you are forgetting. You are forgetting to hide all the countries, or to change this. We are forgetting to change this show country to true. So just do this dot show country. It is show underscore country. Show underscore country is equals to true, like that. And now we are going to show country. So if we click here, you can see we are now showing we are not showing the country. And then after that, we also need a method called show all countries, or just show countries. And this method basically when somebody clicks on show countries button, we are just going to change this show countries to false. So we are just going to do this dot show country is equals to false, and that is it. And you have to do that. Okay, so now when the show country is true, we want to show the information about that country, and we also just need a div for that. We just need a card for that. And what you want to do is to go to here, and we'll just copy this card. Okay, this one I don't think this should be here, and it's because it is the one that is interfering with our there. So what you want to do is, I think we can, this is what we can do. We can so this here, if this one, you can place it outside the you can place it outside here. Okay, you can place it outside here, not inside the row. You can see it has broken our page there. So let's place it in outside this row, and let's also cut this and put it outside. Right, and get this and delete it. Okay, now you can see our country are displaying again. Okay, so here we are going to get this title. It will only show if in this you can see v else there, so that is why you are going to show the countries. So just copy that, and you're going to copy this row and we'll paste it down right there. So you can see it is now showing, and if we click here, we don't have countries there, so we want to show the country here. So here we are just going to put an anchor tag there, and we are going to, so when somebody clicks on this, we are going to go to all countries right there, and then we'll give it a method at click dot prevent is equals to show countries. So remember, show countries, this is where we call now, we call that method. Okay, so you can see now if we click here, we get show countries. If we click here, it should take us back to the countries, but something is happening here. Else here, if show countries, so let's go back to app and see show countries. So let's just copy this. Oh, this is should be show underscore country. Alright, so let's save that and test. So if we click there and if we click here, yeah, now it is working. Yeah, that's great. But now here we need to show the country. So here we'll be showing the country. So what we are going to do is you can give it a bit of styling. So btn success. Okay, so let's try to click, and you have a nice button there. And now after that, we can now display our specific country. So we are going to inside here we are going to, we're just going to have a div, and now you can remember that this method here is returning an array, but just one item inside that array, and that one item is the country that you've gotten. So meaning that you have to look through and to get that country. So what we are going to do is just create a div, and we are going to look through. So just going to do v4 c in country. So remember this one, so v4 c in country, and now we want to display that country here. So we just get the card here, that card here, so just copy that card and paste it there, right? So this is going to be c.name, so c stands for the country, and then capital city should be c.capital, population should be c.population, and then region should be c.region. Right, so let's just save that and try it. And there we go, you can see we have our country, and we have, yeah, it's great. So let's change the flag. The flag is not displaying, so this will change it from country to c, so c.flag there, and we save it. So if we click on the country, you are seeing that country, and if we click on so you should remove this show button, show country button. Now we should remove it from here. Okay, so just delete this button there. Now we have application. So if we click on here, we are showing that country information, the flag, the continent, the name of the country, the capital city, the population, and then the continent. But then you have to do something here. The capital city, c.population, c.capital, c.name, the country name, the capital, Okay, so capital is here, the population, and then the continent. So that's great. In less than 1 hour, I think less than hour's time, you are able to consume this REST countries API, and you can see now it's working just the same as the original application here. You can click on view and display the country information, and when you click on all the countries, you go back to all the countries. And the same as this that you have created in this session, you can click on show country button and you get the country information. You can click on countries and you go back to all the countries information. So that's great, and in case you like this content, you can just subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you so much.